Law Before the Storm. HC5.09 Fortuna 3. In the year 2298, xenoarchaeologist Dr. Juliana Irvine submitted a paper for review advocating multiple radical theories concerning HC5 planets. During peer review, it caught the attention of an investment group who quickly purchased exclusive rights to the paper, effectively purging it from public view, and promptly hired Dr. Irvine and her research staff, having them sign strict NDAs to further ensure their research remains secret. The group organized a conglomerate of private companies, all aligned to the aim of discovering and claiming a resource-rich, habitable HC5 planet for themselves, without the involvement of any nation, state, or federation. This new conglomerate, not directly affiliated with any of the larger megacores, or particularly loyal to any of their nations, set up an expedition the year after with a small fleet, the flagship of which would serve as a permanent orbital station. The other ships carried additional station components, cargo for planetary habitats and settling, and of course, thousands of personnel. In addition, several colony ships were drafted, but kept in the dark about their true destination, other than it being a new habitable planet. The setup costs for the operation were exorbitant, but it had the potential to the conglomerate to a status equal to established megacores, and in an optimistic scenario, could lead to the founding of a new planetary nation under their control. Travel from the Federation's closest jump point, a method of mass transport between two bases at extreme costs from energy use, to HC5.09 took 10 years, and to the group's elation the planet was confirmed as an HC5 type, with the solar system christened Fortuna after the goddess of fortune. After 2 years, with the research station set up, the planet's surface mapped, and half a dozen settlements installed, they announced the finding to the Federation to legitimize their claim. While far from a public announcement to the world as a whole, this still caught the attention of the megacores, who would be willing to buy land leased on an HC5 planet, as well as the attention of other factions and potential settlers. 7 years in, and with a multiple of corporate and colonizing fleets heading for the planet in deep space travel, and with the construction of a jump point underway within the system, the cycle began. The loss of life was horrendous, with every survivor evacuating to the orbiting station. In order to house the new population, some of the old freighters and colony ships became part of the station, and Prospect Station was born. Fortune isn't always good, as it turns out. Our planet thus sits at the edge of known space, almost a decade of travel away from the nearest populated planet of note, and barely a speck on even the most detailed maps. Only those interested in a near-lawless frontier life, for adventurers and opportunists, would ever consider coming here. The Federation has little effective authority, but the threat of one of their ships or fleets arriving to bring order still exists. Settlement remnants. While the evacuation of the planet before the cycle stabilized to become a near-permanent hazard, most structures and much of what they contained were left, due to the expense of moving them off-planet, and the expected limited space on the station or ships leaving the system. As it's been over 2 decades since the planet was evacuated, vegetation has claimed most of the structures. Holes in structure walls and ceilings from animal activity, prospectors, or just disrepair are common, letting in more vegetation and light. Larger structures have been taken over by local creatures for nesting, with bones and claw marks common in areas with aggressive creatures. When the cycle starts reaching its apex, some electronics may get powered up. Lights flicker, floodlights turn on, some doors suddenly open or close, creepy sounds play over megaphones spread throughout the area, unbroken monitors and screens turn on and display static, corporate logos or evacuation warnings, holographic assistants come to life. Whole lot of weird stuff. Notable locations. The main outpost. A large structure with attached smaller buildings surrounded by a tall wall with a landing pad. Structure contains a modest barrack, mess hall, lobby, and several rooms intended for work and storage. This was the structure people arrived at before venturing out into the wilderness or other outposts. Xenobiological Research Center. A strongly gated enclosure with a few buildings with lab equipment and work consoles, walk-in freezer, and interior and exterior pens for animal containment. Xenoarchaeological dig site, a lightly gated enclosure with non-permanent structures surrounding a large dig. Mining rig, a large corolive drill tunnel, straight down into some rare mineral resources, with some auxiliary machinery, conveyor belts, and sorting machines. The cycle causes it to start rumbling as if powered up, though it can no longer dig. Downed ship, a small cargo ship that crashed shortly after takeoff during an evacuation. The cycle caused a malfunction at low altitude, so the ship is mostly intact. Various small structures. Small buildings with antennae, storage shacks, etc. These may contain shielded storage containers to hold things of value from one cycle to the next.